akwanya sonko biemu se ye nyina betumi ahia na ye manyankopon akasa kire yen anopai ye share yen series ye ka ho asem no ye hyase happy home series na megidi se akwanya kese ma ye nyina se nyame beboa yen na wotwi obekasa kire yen anopai de ye besusu ho no menka ne se 2 parts enti ewie ye bebo modern na ye de discussion ne ba wie a ye busa asem if we say ya na teacher for kire se adusua na ya family no se wusua free esro it is a vertical learning in as afi wusua free enchen enti yenim se ensembisa ne nsem ne moa ye nyina no ye de beba no ebeboa ye am yate eniema se yie enti anopai de se dem di kan ye no presentation no ye wie a empaibo se yasembisa ye wo nyina no ye betwotwo ni nyina agu ho awia ye benya kwan na ye didi ye ho nkomo no ye bisa ensem bi ha yen yeda sofo ene empanimfo a o maye program yi nyina asepa se program yi etimi abaso migidi se obi nka nkyerɛ wo se ye nyina no ye hia se de wabusua tie bia no ye hia enkaye se ebetumi aboa yen na yabusua aye osoro ketwa ewasase so nti eno ho nkomo ina megidi se na wotwi nyame nam nasem so ede be mayen na pacho se obia ehu screen obia teme nkan so
Bibia you okay?
Good. And ye besha se no mesre na mede yen enwoma bi a yatu din Adventist Home page 15 ensem bi a yedidi yensem ni nyina nim ose home should be a little heaven upon earth. Home should be a little heaven upon earth. Our happiness depends upon this cultivation of love, sympathy, and true courtesy to one another. Na hapa ne hiame ahana ye peke ye theme ni nyina free was say the sweetest type of heaven is a home where the Spirit of the Lord presides. If the will of God is fulfilled, the husband and wife will respect each other and cultivate love and confidence. You can count we say we am just the first question be abebusa ne say na say ne me nware ya ene na wotwe no ehun enhia me papa there be so won nware ya nyankopon hyehye say so wudru waware mpen so a ubenya ahokani enti ensem a ye ka ne ye ensem a beboa de waware de onware ye ma me ne papa a wo fie a wo ma ebekwa ware mu obi a wo datie anase wahunu obi a mo dwene say mo be time or not na ma ware all these categories ni nyina no are going to be covered na wotwi na empire boss say the situation tie bia no ufie ebeye a sweetest type of heaven it kaye nyina adwen biem say enwumre bia no efiri no nso ne fa ekopem no nko na yahye yedi dwuma no topics ni nyina so hwe flyers na ewo so de ya na mesre eka kire ye nyina no eyese se betumi a wone wo yere ewo ho a montena bom se wone wo fiancé ana obi a wo mo hyehyɛ ware nso a mon share the discussion no Ebetumi nso a pebuku kitwa bi ana diary beto nkyɛn. Key points a wobɛte no danim nyinaa no summarize ni nyinaa wabo date na de ato ase. Omo maware ache no bekyerɛ wo sɛ one day it will come handy. Ebɛboa wo. Enti moma ye nyɛ sɛ yetia kwafi sɛ yadwen no can only take enough. Yeah, ka sɛ betumi akɔ play back. Ni nyinaa ye, but the key points na as you receive it, please bomodern na etwerɛ to baabi, na etwerɛ to hɔ. Na emmoa ye nyinaa. The nim ne yɛ Nyankopɔn ɛdɔ yɛn nti bere bia no ɔma yɛn nsɛm a ɛbɛboa yɛn na ahyɛ yɛn den. Nti yɛbɛ si etirase na yɛabɔ mpaeɛ ansa na no sɛ wawo diary na wo bibi a wotwerɛ nneɛma gu mu a the first thing na mepɛ sɛ wotwerɛ ɛnnɛ ɛyɛ asɛmbisa. What is the meaning of family to me? What is the meaning of family to me? Ɛka sɛ busua a aseɛ kyerɛ sɛn. Menka sɛ kɔfa dictionary na hwɛ the definition of family. There be menka sɛ tie deɛ mebɛkan na hwɛ definition a mede bɛba na fa to trim. There be menka sɛ kɔsɔfo bi hɔ na ɔnkyerɛ the meaning of family. There be. This is a personal question. What is the meaning of family to me? Sɛn na mesete yɛka busua me obetimi de odin ahyɛ hɔ. Ima that is the critical question we are looking at today. And I am empowered say yebusa sa question we say we here. Ubetumi anya your own definition of family. Na aboa yen. Me see trust na yem empire. Nyame therefore ma ebre du so kasa kire yen ti yesrew se kasa kire yen na enen nsɛm a ɛbɛte ne na wotwe mu nyinaa nsɛm a ɛbɛte ne series yi mu no ɛmi abusua ɛnyɛ krabɛhwɛ ɛmi abusua ɛnyɛ the sweetest type of heaven ɔsoro ketewa ɛwɔ asase yi so ɛma afoforo hwɛ abusua na ɔmo mmɛn wo Kristo na ɛma yɛn nso yɛnya nigye a yɛnim sɛ ahwe aseɛ wɔ asase yi so no yɛnya bi wɔ abusua mu we ni yɛsrɛ wɔ Yesu din mu. Amen. Amen. Good. And the title no or say once upon a time. Now you name say you can say once upon a time why ya not dear ba na buy a story. You know, you can once upon a time you call a brim near just a time. Near can there goes near shasi. Time. But you can't time one. Adia ba ko a ebre ede ba eyen sesaye. Time causes change. Change be na yeka ho asemi. Na sesan be na yeka ho asemi. Now as we begin this series, ebra yeshe dwumadi ase, I want us to think about changes and the relationship with time. Ebia wabusua wo mu no. Looking back and then what are the changes what changes na time are also in the family? What as an individual, what changes in a time so once upon a time. But because I have story, let me start with a story. And it's a story we all know. And koma yenina no and abasema yenina yenim. A true story. Enya story keke. E abasemu a eye nokre. Once upon a time. That is a few months ago. Well, menka de minim efasa story ho. Na me wo asonda bi mu. Na asonda no sadly na me nimu se mani age. But na me wo mu se ya story baba ako. Na ye pay the farewell. Ye pay your last respect. Na ye de nato amnemu. In fact, asonda make ho asemi so his screen is when was we. This is a chapel. There were 13 people in the church. Such chapel na osuma ne ekoye no na e was say 1 hour per just 1 hour interment service. Na adia na enwanwa say, well, na me mpese me late enti me free ntem. Me drew ho be 1:30 because na service ne started around 2 o'clock. Na me drew ho no me hu se no osom baako ekoso ewo asonda mo ho. Na osom no ewie ne wie a yenye de na tumi abaso. Enti quickly it went on and 2 o'clock yeshas ye de na se. Yeshas ye ni eto enyom baako as our opening him 50 abide with me. Now this is a very common song ani nyina no me dis ye nyina yenim. Na ebra ye to nyom no ye drew the second stanza, the third line. Eno the words are honey ye say change and decay in all around I see. Proye ne sesa ewo me nchen na no na me hunu. Me drew hono something happened to me. Madwene Esther Esha said the may call journey, change and decay. And okre decay no de metiase fi bia na me wono no eye asondan a ewa musieye East London Cemetery. Me ba no me hu say epitaphs enema ye de asisi emusieye no so no ni atro bi 1800, 18 this, 19 this, very far, distant time ago, very long time ago. And I could see, say, with time, all these people, but their epitaphs were telling us, catching baby omudin, baby omufreni adiade, and a bit of history about them. I could sense the decay. But a brother one of my very emotional about the situation because a service anenka. Enka normal times, I was enka in Nipa Bebre or London Ghana Church, in Nipa Bebre guest Bebre near Wohonia Tunyum near your Manson Co, but there was not even a piano playing. This was a very personal time. On this journey, I could understand the change, the decay. But imagine it the bigger picture of changes happening around us. The entire make say a unique story, a common story. If we say, as someone was just about April, a few months ago. Changes are COVID-19 at the Abrayan. In fact, not far from baby near one. Na government abopami abesi a temporal mortuary. Freezer. The idea you say a nipa This was one of the changes. But nationally, there was a bigger change. Change near Kahuasemono. Made the marginal question for the past 3-4 months. Whether near you so unprecedented. Unprecedented. Why? Because COVID-19 the changes are near Nubida Abba. The word unprecedented Nankasach says something that has never been done or never known before, something which is uncommon, something which is unusual. Bibia, won't tell intensity. But they say the changes are COVID-19, dear Banana. Our changes are intensity, unprecedented. What do we mean? Well, what we mean is this. On the 16th of March, the new Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, Emma Omanyi, what we call a blank check, 330 billion pounds. These were new monies printed. Sika printed say or how COVID-19 day banon. I was see printed this money near the eboa or nipe war mine. Yes or mine ebe collapse. That is what it means. As someone can say, we will take whatever it takes. You better be able to me because the changes are COVID-19 day banon. It is going to be extremely serious. Mamen Kaya say, this is the United Kingdom. So Ultra Atlantic National America, it wasn't 330 billion pounds. It was $3 trillion. Now, we have newspapers are a report to San Seminian and some of my say another $3 trillion. Sika ye cha foforo near dia bo man who banya so man will come on his knees. Mamen Kamadwin said, never in the history of these countries in Abasa ye sika to say if it's your mind go through changes. No, these were unprecedented response because of COVID-19. So what kind African continent na mind about 46 or 40 something countries what African what kind bomwa? It comes down to $2.5 trillion. 2.5. Sika America for just for COVID-19 was more than Sika the whole of Africa. That is the amount of changes I can because the nominal GDP of Africa is about 2.5 trillion. Unprecedented changes. United Nations wing back with World Health Organization. As at the 1st of May, Sikam on my minor pledge was 306 million. But as at that time, Nesiko Majidie was 408 million. You see, never, it doesn't happen. Say, ye bo anohumba. Nemum sika ye tuane ye more than anohumba ye bo. Biohwa, so what follow apiusa, obes ras. But suddenly, it is unprecedented. Being see that. Say, sika yesi ye no. This nipadia banono more than that money. Mami mrefie ye papa be Captain Tom more. No, akakra no 100 years no so be 19 in feature. Na na busu for man £1,000. No nipa bet me man £1,000 no de akoma NHS. By the 2nd of May, no raise £32 million. You see, history is happening right in front of our eyes. Na ebia yemfa ni entoto sanema we say what we have gone through this year. So what to was na so dwene ebia ho a, it is a big issue on its own. Why? Because of COVID-19. And every country, every family, every individual wanted to step up. Say, ya nye bibia, things will get out of hand. 32 million pounds, which is 32 million% more than Sikawa years will be raising. And when these two medals, Guinness Book of Record, because never in the history of this world, in a one person, let me raise that amount of money on charity terms, some of the organization. Into a for man 2 records for breaking this. We know, say, on the 18th of March, Boris Johnson announced another unprecedented change. And what are we talking about? That time, Nipa in our home, was about 104. Within the 24 hours, 93 people in the war. And we were saying, Nipa Dawson, hey, what is happening? I know, say, now you look back, we are talking of, national statistics about 45 or 46 million, 46,000, deaths, any other, but we know, say, there are more. But what did we announce? Say, from the 20th of March, and I decided to bring this in because this week is a results week. 20th of March, Friday, school power, you close to schools all across the country. And of course, exams were also to be cancelled. In fact, yemra eka ho se e was say ye fa kwan ye befa so ama students and your grades e bra omo ntron so hwe. When was the last time you heard in the history of this country say something like this is happening? You see, I'm saying all this to tell you the response because of one thing, which is COVID-19. Ye mra say we house owner won't mean to obi or rent ufie because of this pandemic. Abino cracker say we adwuma at na fie ni ntua woka. All these were unprecedented changes, and they have happened right in our eyes. And Sisi Amenoka say more changes are still happening. And we call it the new norm, a way to respond to changes out COVID-19 at the Now, this is something none of us can forget, ever forget. When we are approaching times, because as a nation, as a country, as a world, we respond, we react. But in sanity, because COVID-19, but when he said there is one particular big scourge, problem, affected every single human being on earth. It is so endemic, sir. It is really the cause of most of the problems in this world. Yet, it doesn't get the blank check like COVID-19. It doesn't get any stimulus package like COVID-19. It doesn't get any money. It doesn't get any law. It doesn't get any national response. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about a virtually ignored global scourge, which is receiving zero, almost zero attention wherever you look. And global scourge Ben America wants me. It is a problem in our family. What we call problematic family relationships. Sometimes at the extreme end, it leads to divorce. Sometimes it doesn't cause divorce. Even among Seventh-day Adventists, this problem is so real, sir. We sit in it, we cry in it, we are dying gradually in it. But you know what? We ourselves don't even care. Nobody seems to care. The church may care, but up to a point. But I can assure you, sir, the nation, Ayatimi, doesn't care one bit about your family and the problems you are facing. They don't. And this is why we say it is a virtually global, ignored scourge. A problem, but nobody cares about it. You see, sometimes, a binomo etwaso find their own escape routes. Say, a day problem, me feed them into me, I may find me escape route. I'm going to go through divorce. No me jai. And I don't blame you. I don't blame anybody who has that sort of mindset, because that is what the country we live in, that is what the nation is telling you and me. Say, or how the doors, well, you know what? Don't try to fix it, end it. If you are in any sort of bad relationship, any sort of bad marriage, so problem, family relationship now, we know about a problem, any idea, don't mend it. Stop it, end it, because we have very good lawyers, consultants who will help you to do it at a cheaper rate. Until we have an overflow of divorce. In fact, now the whole issue of family life is defined not in terms of families sticking together, but having this sort of arrangement to say, we can stick around, we have all kinds of terms, cohabitation and that, all these things are happening. This is a mess. And sometimes we forget ourselves as Christians and we find ourselves in it. You see, sometimes maybe divorce may be an option. But let me explain to you why most of the time, and as the law, the word of God encourages us, divorce is not an option. You see, somebody was given a testimony, Ubia, when your family relationship issue, the marriage is broken, the family is broken, everybody is kind of messed up, and they are in this situation for 8 years. They are, and this is how she described the situation. Or say, divorce is like suffering death without a funeral. The pain never ends. It is living death, a living death. 8 years, when you're Awarijaya still was thinking and breathing. The mind is still on it. Psychologists Boachie say you can go through divorce all right, but that person who you think you are leaving out never leaves you. And that reminds Yinina what God says, that marriage is a lifetime commitment. Yes, sometimes divorce may come, but I can assure you that divorce is just on the surface, because you have to work twice in order to have a normal life, if that has been the option. And most of us, sometimes we cannot. Into the statistics doesn't support any of this. Let me come back to this. What does it say? It says, your ex, is more likely to continue to play a role in your life, whether you like it or not. I'm not saying, if it becomes the only option, don't look at it, but I'm actually putting the word of God in front of you, even as we start this conversation, to say, maybe divorce is not an option for you. Because every family will have problems, including yours. And God is saying, find a way to fix it, but don't listen to the media pros and say, let's end it. Do you know that statistics, Emmanuel says 60% of all remarriages fail? And when people will be will go through any sign, any form of divorce will be within the 40%. But the message is very simple and clear. You need to double up your effort in order to have a happy home. If you have gone through this, or if you have ever experienced this, if you are somebody who is going into marriage, the message is also clear. Try as much as possible to make divorce not an option for you. And the problems will come. Yes, they will come, but make it not an option. And yet, 65% of all marriages that manage to remain intact are profoundly unhappy. And that is what I meant by saying, if you have experienced any such thing, please, you are this week going to be blessed with the tools to make your home a happy home, a sweetest type of heaven, but you have to work even harder, because you may be in the 40, but you may be among the 65 who are in this family and are so scared, so careful, to the point to say they have sold the happiness in their family and not realizing anything of that. 40% are so devitalized. There is no energy, there's no spark. According to say, this will be a number 2 divorce. And that has actually caused you to be hanging around and just putting your head above water. It's like you are trying to squeeze water out of a stone in your marriage. And 25% are discontent and weak. They are just accident waiting to happen. And this is what we mean. Not long ago, this study was done by a guy called Adam Shapiro. And this is the question that he asked every family he came into contact with. And this was a very huge, Brony Becker said, data set was really huge. So it wasn't like a small people, this survey. but across countries, across continents, very, very detailed study. And this was the findings. Only 17% of people find happiness in their relationship. That 83% include Yang as Seventh-day Adventists. It includes me and you. Most people are very unhappy. And now, the source of this unhappiness is problematic relationship. In the Happy Home series I hear this week, our main focus is how to have a problematic-free relationship. Yes, the problems will come, but how do we always ensure that the relationship is so much of happiness, and we build and encourage it and engender it at every time and everything, every opportunity that we get to merit this happiness? Our Adventist home, the sweetest type of heaven, the good news is that it is achievable. It can, regardless of the situation a woman. If you are somebody going to go into marriage, if you're a young person contemplating marriage, you have this hope. And this is what this week, some of it, I must say, we must be praying more this week. But I must also say prayer cannot take the place of what you and I have to do to make our families a happy home. And this week, we will pray to ask God for the skill, for the strength, but also for the can-do attitude to ensure that we experience this happiness in our home. Why am I saying? Most people, their unhappiness come as a result of the problematic relationship they are having. Well, what we are saying is that the problematic relationship is the root cause of all major problems that we are facing. You see, most of us are stressed. That stress, we are going to see, it is coming, not from anything, but from problematic relationships we have in our families. Not only stress, all our sicknesses, majority of them, homelessness, mental health issues, as I say, are a big issue, issues, and even people getting to the point of committing suicide. All these things that we have enumerated, the root cause are problems that we are facing in our family. If you reverse it and if you unwind it, what that actually means is, if you want to be stress-free, ailment-free, find some sanity in your home and not risk being a homeless person, have mental sanity, peace of mind, and avoid being somebody who is killing yourself, then you need to sort your home out. You need to sort your home out, because the lack of it is all these ailments. Remember, we are saying, these are at a global level, but nobody is going to give you any stimulus package to help you resolve it. See, let's pick one and prove why this is true. And I'm just going to go with homelessness. Okay, just one. We can take time to pick each one of these and prove that it is coming from our homes and our relationship. One, two people will have the situation in their families, problems, or let's say two people will have all these things that we are talking about, and we realize the cause. Remember, we are focusing on homelessness, and said nipa, the ability to actually not find a home and be at risk of living outside your home, maybe living on the street or that kind of thing. You see, if you ask anybody who is living outside the streets the cause of this, they will give you all kind of reasons. And some of the reasons, the cause of homelessness, because of migration, because of housing shortage, because of low income, high accommodation costs, unemployment. Look at all the reasons I did go on. Offending behavior, drugs, poor health, bereavement, all these are issues that can lead to homelessness. But do you know, sir, none of this is the real cause of homelessness. None of this. Because you take two people who experience all this, and the only difference between somebody becoming a homeless person and somebody staying on and having some sanity, some sense of home, is family. It's family. So why do I come to this point? You know, Homeless UK is one of the charities. They do a lot of work with a lot of homeless people around the world, around the UK. In fact, sometimes around the world, but mostly in the UK. This is what they say. Yes, all these excuses and reasons that people give are true, but the main reason people give for losing their homes and becoming homeless is relationship breakdown in their families. In their families. This is what they are saying. And Samokaya, about 10 years ago, we had something similar to the situation we've had this year. We had what we call a credit crunch. And I made a kind of article bin and say, and this is what it said. Say, during the 2009 to about 2011, the height of the credit crunch, about 7.5 million Americans lost their homes to live with their families. The question is this: what happened to those who didn't have families to go to? What happens to those whose family, who felt, say, family is only about me? I don't really care about anybody else. I don't care about my mom. I don't care about my dad. I just want to marry and live happily ever after with my wife in somewhere remote. I don't care about anybody. What happened to them? When they had problems in their families and they experienced this recession, there was no home to go to. And that is the reason why, for me, when it comes to family, I think we must give more attention to it than everything else. Maybe I wouldn't how close the issue of family has come to you. Maybe I want auntie be, what uncle be. Maybe I walk around experience be. Their marriage didn't survive. Maybe I wouldn't suffer be a leader in the church, a pastor whose marriage is on rocks and relationship has been problematic and has failed. Or maybe a walk around, you are beginning to reflect on your own life. And you're asking yourself, you may be having strained relationship yourself and have got to the point where your only solution seems to be divorce. I'm praying, sir, you don't fall victim to what the world is throwing at you and me. But as we go through today, you start taking family seriously. Now, the reason why I've given this long introduction to our issue is because most of the time when we look at family life issues, we look at it as one of those programs, we do it and we forget it and we move on. But I want to challenge you to say, don't look at this week as one of this issue. Pray and look at things differently. Because when you ask the question, what is going on? Whatever angle you look at the issue of family, from the issue of a parent, from the issue of a husband, from the issue of a wife, from the issue of a child, from the issue of somebody going to marriage, it is going to make you or break you. It is going to define whether you go to heaven or not. It is going to make you that person who smiles even when there's problems, or somebody who put your head in the sand because you want to run away. But unfortunately, you are still in it. So let's start with asking ourselves what is going on and why all these things is going on. Why are we not having any support when it comes to our family? I want us to take ourselves away from the church for a minute and look outside our world and then come into the word of God. So what is happening? This is what is happening. And this is where you come with me. I'm going to speed up a bit so we actually get a few points before we pray. 3 things I want you to remember. Nobody cares about family. No government will care about your family. No nation cares about family. And they don't really care what is going on. Why? Because of 3 things. Because 1, today as we speak, every single person you come across in government, in leadership, sometimes, even in our churches, we minimize the importance of the family. We minimize it. It is just one of those things. But I can assure you, family is that thing which is going to make you or break you. So we have people minimizing the importance of family. That's number 1, minimizing the importance of family. 2, we also have these erroneous ideas about what the family is. Remember, the question we are asking ourselves today is, what is family? If you cannot define it, you don't even know what it is. So you take anything and you do with it. Erroneous ideas about family. And a lot of time I've spoken to a lot of young people who are contemplating marriage. And as I said, I just want to marry and go away from everybody. No, it doesn't work that way. Because marriage and family is more than that. And the third is that we have a wrong concept of the role family should play in our lives and society. These are the 3 reasons why people don't care about family. And sometimes you, listening to me, don't take your issue of family also seriously and important. So how do we minimize, or how have we come to the point where we have minimized the importance of family? UK. Into this issue, we need to understand it in the wider context of the United Kingdom. Adentina are going to grow up in a society, in a community, where they are going to be forced to minimize the importance of family. And say, me call hospital, baby. Na me call na ubi a me call no. Neba e the flower besi ho e no oko. Oja note. Oba na papa nada. No the flower esi ho no oko. That is the concept of family. Just leave a flower because the flower does the trick. Your dad is in the hospital and you just go spend 5 minutes, leave a flower and walk away, and you think that is family. Yes, that is the society. That is what the society is telling our young people to look and appreciate family to be. Minimizing the importance of family. Let's go back to basic and look at some key facts. The question of family, and this is where we get our theme, our title from today from. The key fact is this. The question of family did not used to exist some time ago, because everybody, especially everybody in this part of the world, knew what it was. So what is a family? That question, once upon a time, did not exist until recently. Why do I say that? Because everyone knew what you meant when you said family. In fact, the key word itself, when you said family, you were referring to service, a person in service of, you as an individual have a service, you have a role to play, you have something to do for a group of people around you. And it also refer to your household. The word familia, from the Latin word familia meant household, a place with people connected by some sort of affiliation, who is meriting, you are providing service. One year or some will be, that is what family meant some time ago. The key thing is service. What would me? Are we a member of family? My first question to you: what service are you giving to your father, to your mother, if you're a young person, to your husband, to your wife, if you are married, to your parents, and to yourself, to your children? The key thing about family is service. And people didn't ask this because it became something everybody knew. But in the 18th century, 1800s, what happened? People became very enlightened. I'm talking about our history in the West. This whole issue of enlightenment. So science started growing. People became industrious into let's build cities and let's start creating things. Into what happened? There was this whole, revolution of industries. Into the whole definition of family decided or began to shift. Why? Because young people are not in Croatia, they were living in the hamlets and the villages and these places where they knew their parents. They said no, yenko krokesi mu, nyanko ye adwuma wo industries ni mu, yenyeska. So there was this whole shift from people moving away from their household, moving away from their farms, moving away from their communities into urbanized places. And this whole movement led to the first sign that the Western society is going to be broken when it comes to our family, because the family unit started breaking up. Children were leaving, the young, able, youthful people were leaving to urban centers to work, to start finding their own way of life. But even in those days, the 1800s, if people went, they still thought back and they still knew that their families were the place to have answers to most of their questions. So they will go, but they will come back. Some aspects of the family were still clear in those days. They still knew that they were tied in blood. They were still knew that if they married, they still needed to come back, come home, and show that this is what it means. Their family, their parents were involved, everybody was part of it. Even if you had adopted some people into the marriage, into the family, you still recognize them as blood, as people in the same household. So there were much room for interactivity, and family was considered the natural thing that brought people happiness, even during these times. But gradually, it started degenerating. Unim said the world experienced 2 world wars in the 1900s, which displaced and messed up families, even to a wider extent. But 3 years after the war, people came together and asked ourselves, what stupid things have we done to ourselves? What is happening to our families? In the United Nations, the very first Universal Declaration of Human Rights, article, they consulted their lawyers, they consulted researchers, they traveled all around the world, and they look at how we can get the whole world back to basics. And they gave this definition of family. And that family, they included 2 things, natural and fundamental. They said the family is the natural and the fundamental group unit of society and is entitled to protection by society and the state. 3 years after the war, when the world was in total chaos, they started coming back to basics. Yes, we have drifted away from all this, but let us go back to basics, and they maintain this. Now, let's fast forward. What has become of our world today, 21st century? Did you know, say, as we speak now, there is no legal definition for what a family is? There is no country, no institution, no group of people have one type of definition for a family that is universally accepted by all. This is what we have become. United Nations and Omoka said, let's look at family and let's go back to the natural and fundamental. 1994, just some few years before we hit the 21st century, it was the International Year of the Family. And some of the statements they made was this: there is no definition, no one single model of how the family should be. Family is what you want it to be. Ebusuya said as an individual, and every new idea of family must be encouraged. Into say or any idea be of said family, we must encourage it. This is the new 21st century definition or model of a family. And that seems to me a definition without a meaning. Because I can decide, say, if we know for family is all about me, I don't care about anybody. And this definition will say, yes, it's a new idea, we must embrace it. And if in 1994, the international, this whole thing expedited this whole new definitions, pocket definitions of different type of family structures. And then, in fact, this is the definition we are using for them. Into your list, so we were two teachers, how much PSHE or religion or anything to do with social science and context and looking at the family circles. One teacher will come and list maybe 4 types of family. Another teacher will come and list 5. Another person will come and list 6. Do you know why? Because there is no consensus of what family should be. Because this is the definition, a definition of no definition. Every new idea must be encouraged. This is what they said. Many societies have changed what they meant by family. So exposure to ideas, behavior, and norms behind traditional spheres and to the different style is praised as positive development. It is placed as a positive development. And this is what all the nations, especially the Western nation, let me speak to the UK because this is what is defining how we look at the definition of a family. And as we speak, there is no legal definition of family in the United Kingdom. And what about the Family Acts, which are the laws I define a family? Just take your time to look at what it says. It doesn't start by defining what a family is. It actually starts by saying, family relational unit is explained by means of, and it goes ahead to start listing all sorts of things. The father, the mother, the stepmother, the stepfather, the son, the daughter, the step what, half blood, full blood, quarter blood, what blood, this blood. It is trying to give some sort of definition. The more you read it, the more you get confused because there is no legal definition. It is only him say, social so we call every institution in this country, they decide to come up with their own definition of what a family is. So we call quarter, they will have one way of looking at family, but so social service person, they will also look at family from a different angle. As a teacher, I will look at the family from a different angle because there is no one universal legal definition for what a family is. That helps. No. It is just speaking to you how confused the society is. And it is within this confusion, to be a parent, to be a son, to be somebody, a Christian, who is going to live a certain light. So, one interesting thing that keeps coming, the new idea. And then, this is the part that I say with a lot of, somberness and humility. Did you know, sir, every institution in this country has one objective: to strip the family of the former duties, institutionalize them, and ask the question, who needs a family? This is what family is on the outside. Into war responsibility, no? Every power in the land is trying to take that and make you powerless, so you wouldn't be able to go back to basics and instill family as God intends it to be, even as 200-300 years ago society intended it to be. The new idea is to strip you and me of any duty. Enuntina ankaneno senko bi beware a obebusa ne papa ne maame. Even in this country, but United Nations, new idea, new norm, new behavior, let's embrace it. It's what you want it to be. Your new idea. And the new idea is, who needs a family, by the way? Let people do whatever they want. It is this that is defining economics, religion, education. The state is defining it for you and me. And the action is that it is now state institutions that tells us what family is, and therefore how to run it consciously and unconsciously. Unim, and sometimes coming into contact with people, sometimes is so sad. When a parent comes to you and you know that parent has lost every single parental responsibility because of fear. Hey, even cry, yes, you can see no akanisa, no ejakwala to be anything. Because a man in our power, any idea, no responsibility, nothing. Because you know what? These statements, if free and non is one of the reasons, in fact, one of the clear evidence. We have lost it. We don't even know who we are anymore, because it is the state dictating to us how family should be defined. And the outcome is that we are having more problems than solutions. Let's wrap this up by saying, the outcome is that government and state, whenever they pick up the role and responsibility that you and me as parents, as family members are supposed to play and carry out, they give us more problem. This is well-studied document in every social institution, every social scientific world, but they will never make this out. They suppress this information in order to ensure that the state dictates to you and me, even as Christians, how to run our families. Wrong idea. Christians, we are caught up in this. And this has led to the second idea. Because of this, remember the first was the importance of family, you're saying, you're crashing, you're throwing it off. Now, because it's not there, it's leading us to the second issue, which is the erroneous, the wrong idea about family and how family should be. We are all confused. And I know some sincere people, they really want the best for their children, but they don't know how. And that is why this week should be a game changer in your life. Because God is going to show us the tools, how to satisfy God's ideals, but also play in such a way we don't go against the laws of the land. God always has a way for his people. And your answer has unprecedented implication. What is a family to me? The first thing, don't let family be what the government is telling you to be. Because if you do that, that answer will have consequences that you can define as everything that we've talked about with the changes as unprecedented. It will have real issues for you. It's important so we live here knowing one thing. God has an ideal plan, and God knows exactly how family must be. And within this framework, He wants us to understand that everything, the little snapshot that I've given, is not there because of Boris Johnson, but it's there because there's a bigger issue happening in the background. And you as a Christian needs to understand that how you define family is how you participate in a war. And what war am I talking about? 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3 to 5. Say, for though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. And we take captives every thought to make it obedient. I want us to take a few words and bring into me and look through this. But this is Paul reminding Yenina said, there is a war, and that war is well fought in our family. How we define what family is. And this war, Paul is very careful to state, say, listen, on the contrary, they have divine powers to demolish strongholds. This war is to demolish us. And they are fought not with physical hands, but it is a war of ideology. It's a war of definition. It's a war of the mind. It's the war of your mindset, how you look at things and how you define things. And that is what he put there. We demolish arguments and every pretension that set itself against the knowledge of God. It is a war to take the knowledge of God out of the equation. And that is what Satan has used all the state institutions to do it so effectively. The more parent evening, that's a parent biba. That's what you ho. That's what soon. So who the one yan the banner. You may busan say. Na then why also in some quality the amfi and sen ka womu. And isn't it sad? Say that mindset, Satan has won the war on family with that ideological mindset, allowing you to relinquish your duty as a parent. So when young people be and they throw away the definition of family and embrace what society gives them. No, I can't say. I said that we are in the 21st century. No, I can't say we're in the 21st century, Daddy. What are you talking about? 21st century. It is a sign of you losing the battle with your mindset, because that is the battle the devil is winning with arguments. Listen to what else Paul says. We are ideological warriors. And then I'm not even going to start defining what a family is, whether in the Bible, some of the definitions. We are not even going to go there. I want you to just take home one thing. You are in a battle, in a war. And that war is fought here at the seat of your mind. So I'm just going to throw that question to you. How you define family is how you participate in the war. We are geological warriors. Our real enemy is Satan. Say, no one serving as a soldier gets entangled with civilian affairs. Do you know how I understand that phrase? Nobody who is diligently seeking to win this war of ideological, this ideological warfare plays with how they look at family. You cannot kind of play a tango between accepting the definition of the world and accepting the definition of God. You cannot play that tango. That is what that text is actually telling me. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11 to 2. But I'm just picking the key terms. We must say, put on the full armor of God so you may withstand the schemes. And look at the word, the schemes. And that doesn't sound to me like a gun and arsenal kind of thing. It's talking about a plan, a structure, a formula, a scheme of the devil. And it says, resist, stand against. Know who you are when it comes to family. And I really want you and me to be able to stand up and say, after today, to say, I know exactly what family is. And that is how, for the rest of my life, I'm going to define it. That is how you participate in the war. And we will come to it, how the Lord helps us. He says, stand against it, challenge it, oppose, stand firm by putting on Christ, by knowing what that definition is. And 1 Peter 5:6, I say, it talks about, adversary. That is in the Hebrew, the Hasatan, the Satan, the deceiver, the devil, the adversary is slanderer of the truth. Now, watch how Paul says this. He didn't say he put on schemes, keke, but the scheme is to slander the truth, an agent of the truth. And what has the devil done successfully using all the powers around for the past 200 years? Turn you and me against the truth about family. Until he cunningly steal you. But where you cannot be stolen, he used the lion, and say, if you do this, the state will persecute you. And within this two framework, you are completely powerless. That is how the devil is winning. But there is hope. There is hope. Look, there is so much changes happening in our families. The best father I can for my children. The best husband I can for my Benis. And when we kneel, we pray. And I pray for families around me. The best child for my father and mother who are still living. The best role model to my neighbors, so they can watch our family and love you, God. That is how I'm fighting that war, on my knees. And this week we are going to learn that it's not only on your knees. You have real things that you have to do. Sometimes you have to sacrifice and do things differently. And especially, we need a whole U-turn in our mind, because we are losing this battle so sadly. We are losing it so much so that we don't even know who we are. And that battle needs to be won. God really wants you and me to start winning this battle. And it starts with how we approach family. Do you know, when you sort your family issue out, life will be with so much happiness, to the point that you can never think of yourself, say, into some problems, no stress, me handle no. Say, yes, there is hope for you. Why are we at war? We are at war because Satan is turning our heads around. And this afternoon, we will go back to basics and start defining our family. So my question, remember the question we are looking at the whole of today is, what is the meaning of family to me? Now, this was a personal question that I was doing on the 30th of May, and it's changed my life. But maybe this Sabbath and this afternoon, we can also reflect on your meaning. When we finish going through the second part, we will be able to start seeking definition for ourselves and start fighting this war in a way that we're going to be victorious. Nyame nhyira yɛn, na nyame mmoa yɛn. Not this week, and yet a week of a difference in our lives. So regardless of the situation, nyame mmoa wo, because we need to hold hands together and win together and make our home the sweetest type of heaven that God wants for us. Nyame mmoa yɛn, nyame nhyira yɛn, nyame nka yɛn ho, ɛwɔ ne din mu daa. Amen.
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 Jennifer.
Elder, my semester can be bigger.
Patawani.
I see. Also for someone, we'd like to thank you for allowing God to use you to bless us this afternoon. We pray whatever you teach us this week, will be a blessing for us and our families as well. Because of the current situation, a lot of families are at war amongst themselves. And as a sending that opinion, a lot of families have been hit hard by Satan. And thank you for taking the time out to be with us this week. And I do know that Young Kupon will use you to bless us this week. I would also like to entreat all of us to be a part of every single presentation that will be given to us by Pastor Asamoah. Thank you all very much. Amen.
Amen.
Pastor
Asamoah, me da wase papa so ama ho kwan ma wonyame akasa fa wo ampa wa me yehunu se ne ya busua oko aye komu obonsam kon ne yeko ne wa me ate abusua simnim se na otwe nyina mu no koma ho kwan wonyame namoso asiesie Bracknell Church family biama bibia totoye asafoma me sram se moma ade yi mpa mutire ho awie ye behia afa anwumre bia behia sansa me wo ma ate nyina e ka on kwana kada bi omote nti wo so prepare so ba beti pasa Asamoah ya dawasi nyame nhyira. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Elder Boachie. So, sometimes we are going to be challenged. Sometimes we are going to ask questions. Sometimes we are going to share experience. Said the Pastor Obia one or your frontline person be on a lot of families share. Sometimes you get to a place now. You ask yourself, if only people had seen the light, they will have peace. And Bible said, "Now what you know, nyame ebekasa achire yen na yen nyina no yenya asomdwe a yeka ho asemi no ewe efie mu." Yeah.
Amen. Emma, ye divine